Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is exactly 8:35 a.m. We're now going to be talking with senior researcher at Afrasid, and that is Thembisa Fakude. We're going to be looking at, well, in fact, Thembisa has dissected the visit of Ramaphosa to Saudi Arabia. What does that mean for us in South Africa? And I guess I'd start with, asking the first question, which I believe is pretty important, and that is the meeting with Ramaphosa he recently visited the States, met with Joe Biden, and we also know that Joe Biden has criticized Saudi Arabia for them cutting its oil supply. And I'm kind of wondering about the relations between the USA and this oil-rich nation, which of course is Saudi Arabia. Will it feature at all in the discussion by Cyril Ramaphosa and MBS? And regarding the cutting of the oil supply to the United States, what does it mean for us in South Africa? Does this visit signify the fact that perhaps Ramaphosa can cut a deal for us to be getting more reserves, oil and gas reserves, at perhaps a better price? Is that wishful thinking on my part? I don't know. Thembisa Fakude, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Thanks for having me.
Would you like to respond to my opening statement?
Well, I think the trip was important because it sort of fosters a relationship between South Africa and Saudi Arabia. And it comes at the right time when we are seeking sources for alternative energies in this country. And one of the things that was talked about, which was the deal that had stalled in the past of the refinery in Durban. So if that does happen, we're likely to secure energy independence, and I think that will help and go a long way in terms of addressing our own energy challenges in South Africa. I hope I passed on what you, because it was a long introduction, so I hope I managed to touch on or answer what your opening was tackling.
The issue around MBS having cut its oil supplies to the United States. What do we read into that, and how does it impact on us here in South Africa and other countries around the world? What is significant about that move, the cutting of oil reserves to the United States?
Well,
Thembisa?
Oil production.
Sorry, I lost you there.
It's OPEC actually that has cut oil production, and Saudi Arabia is the leading member of OPEC. So Joe Biden is threatening Saudi Arabia to say there will be consequences because of OPEC having cut the oil prices. This comes, of course, at a very difficult time in the just global economy, where many people are looking at relief, particularly in terms of oil prices, which determine everything else in economics. And we had that announcement by OPEC last week that they were going to be cutting down the production, which means, therefore, that the prices of oil are going to be more expensive, and all of us are going to be impacted. So that's the kind of the disagreement that Joe Biden has had with Mohammed bin Salman. And one hopes that Cyril Ramaphosa, when he was in Saudi Arabia, raised this issue, given his close relationship with with Joe Biden. But I did try to mention that, and I was scolded for it with that there was nothing on this trip. Cyril Ramaphosa was not an emissary of Joe Biden. This trip was purely for South African interest and nothing.
Okay, but we know that if you sneeze in the United States or anywhere else in the world, we'll catch a cold here in South Africa. But be that as it may, what do you believe then that, the very pertinent discussions will be around, and how fruitful or beneficial will it be for us here in South Africa?
Well, they've signed about 17 memorandum of understanding and bilaterals from military cooperation to water technology exchange and export of goods. We know that Thembisa, who met with Agri on Friday before she left to Saudi Arabia, should have at least signed some memorandum of understanding, particularly when it comes to supply of fresh produce, because Saudi Arabia does import large part of its fresh produce from other countries, and South Africa will likely benefit from that. When it comes to Muslims, there was also part of the discussions was the increase of the Hujjaj quota. Those who want to go for Hajj, as you remember, just after the COVID, they've reduced that quota from 2,005 to 1,000, and we were told that that discussion was also on the cards in terms of increasing the quota of those who want to go for Hajj. But overall, the trip was about business, bilaterals. Ibrahim Patel talked about the cooperation and the close working between the special economic zones of Saudi Arabia and South Africa. In other words, they'll be bringing in investment into special economic zones in South Africa. So those are good news. But overall, I think South Africa comes back with a bag full of beautiful things in terms of economic activity in this country. Saudi Arabia's got deep pockets. And as they continue with their NEOM city, they need also expertise from South Africa. South Africa is quite respected for its infrastructure and construction capability. So they will be exporting that to Saudi Arabia. And of course, all other goods and services that we have in this country will now find a new market in Saudi.
Well, that's good news. Perhaps, just perhaps, because of the building of the new city, it's called NEOM, NEOM. Am I correct?
Correct.
Would that bode well in terms of labor from South Africa going there and working in in the capacity of laborers like they have Indian, Pakistani, and Asian laborers working there and creating job opportunities? Do you think that might be a viable situation for South Africans, unemployed South Africans?
I think South Africa is likely to provide much more highly skilled individuals. If you look at some of the South African participation in the Gulf countries in terms of construction, they are not bringing in labor, but they're bringing in much more skilled and specialist individuals, because this country does have special skills, particularly in the construction of bridges, roads, etc. We are quite respected around the world in that regard.
Wow.
So there will be bigger companies that will benefit from South Africa. I don't think they will try and replace the current low labor skills, mainly from the subcontinent, because I think they're long-term contracts with those. But besides, if you bring South Africa into Saudi Arabia, you're going to likely opening yourself to all sorts of scrutiny, because South Africans, as you know their rights and labor rights, and it might be a problem for Saudi Arabia bringing in South Africans. It will be very, very difficult. The next thing you know is going to be go slow strike and protest, and I don't think they'll want to risk that. And I'm sure that the embassy will play a role in informing them about what sort of skill to take from South Africa. Unfortunately, we are known for that, and I don't think any country in the Gulf, given the common violations in that part of the world, would dare look at South Africa labor force in terms of construction, except for high-skilled labor force in that country.
And currently we are seen as the protesting or striking capital of the world. So I think you're quite right in saying that they wouldn't chance taking low-skilled labor from South Africa. I'm also kind of wondering what else can, and I'm also very pleasantly surprised you're saying, especially in the current climate, to hear that South Africa has quite a good reputation, quite a good standing regarding infrastructure, very especially regarding, the construction industry in South Africa, the building of bridges, etc. That's really good to hear and good to know. Very especially since, we've come through or still going through a a trying time regarding the upcoming elections, the issue around tenderpreneurs, the issue around corruption, etc. in South Africa. That has been bogging us down for a very, very long while. And this piece of news, this visit to Saudi Arabia, and what you're sharing with us on air right now, does give South Africans a glimmer of hope. Should we really be as hopeful as all as that, Thembisa?
Well, the thing is that I don't think the majority of South Africans have been following this trip because it's irrelevant to many South Africans. It's very high level, a trip
Right.
that impacts on certain people, but not the majority of the people of this country. Over the weekend, while the president was in Saudi Arabia, there was an introduction of water shedding. Some
Right.
parts of Johannesburg are without water. We continue experiencing the energy shedding, the electricity load shedding that we're all experiencing. Crime is still very high. Kids are being killed. There's a story at the moment that's been dominating the news of a 4-year-old that was abducted and killed. So unemployment is still extremely high. So people are looking at, low-hanging reachables that will impact on their lives. And at the moment, there's nothing really coming our way in terms of relief when it comes to all of these things that I've just mentioned. So the Saudi trip, while it was important and of course is going to yield result, but these are all long-term goals that they are achieving. On the ground, the people want to see electricity, they want to see water, and they want to live in safe environments. And unfortunately, the president doesn't seem to be visible when it comes to that, and it's not present in all of these places where these agents can continue to occur. So there's little hope that this trip will change the current mood towards the government. But of course, we know that in the long run, it's going to impact on South African economy.
And in the meanwhile, as far as the people on the ground are concerned, it's more of the same, like you indicated: electricity issues, water issues, crime, unemployment, and the list just goes on. Themba Fakude, senior researcher at Afrasid, thank you indeed for dissecting this high-level visit of Ramaphosa to Saudi Arabia. Go well, and thank you for always being ready and willing to talk to us. Much, much appreciated here at Salam Media. Assalamu alaikum to you. 8:47 News and Views right here on Salam Media. Next, we'll be talking with Foundation Head of Department Abid Karim at Al Imdan Foundation. So please do stay with us. We look forward to your company. And as always, please do become a part of the conversation. I think you're more than familiar with all of our different social media platforms. And the easiest one that I can give you to link up with us is WhatsApp on 061 766 0355.